Now, how to cope up with the heat stress condition in poultry birds? There are different mechanisms through managemental practices, through feeding practices, through nutritional changes, through supplemental changes. And there are so many ways by which farmers try to cope up with the heat stress condition. As far as supplemental modification is concerned, use of antioxidants are very important during heat stress condition. This is one of the reasons for which high level of vitamin C is being used in the feed. As I have already mentioned that during heat stress, enormous amount of free radicals or oxidative free radicals are generated in the body. So we need antioxidants to neutralize the oxidative mechanism in the body. When we talk about the phyto ingredients to combat oxidative reactions in the birds, there are certain herbs like Emblica officinalis or amla, Withania somnifera or ashwagandha. These are very important. These should be used in the bird's ration regularly during high heat condition. They are also natural source of vitamin C and high level of bioflavonoids. When we talk about vitamin C, there are certain drawbacks. Lack of stability. It is very labile, heat labile molecule. You cannot make it stable in the feed, even you cannot make it stable in the water. So at least if we use the crystalline ascorbic acid, L-ascorbic acid, its stability is questionable. So people used to use coated vitamin C, although the stability of coated vitamin C is also a matter of question, and nowadays people are using esterified vitamin C, that is ascorbyl polyphosphate or ascorbyl polysulfate. These are stable vitamin C, but these are not very much cost effective as far as poultry production is concerned. If one can afford to go up to that limit of using ascorbyl polyphosphate or ascorbyl polysulfate, it is of course better than crystalline vitamin C and coated vitamin C. But when we talk about the phytomolecules, these are naturally stable. So they can be used as a natural source of, as a supplemental source of reducing agent or antioxidant agent to reduce, to cope up with the oxidative condition in the body, which is very much common during heat stress condition. The role of acidifiers and probiotics are also very important as far as supplemental input into poultry ration is concerned during heat stress condition. During heat stress, there is excessive panting, loss of carbon dioxide, the HCO3 ion is reduced in the body, leading to alkalosis. So we need to supply the birds that can make this alkalinity into acidity, or you can say that the pH level should be adjusted. One of the very good and cheap source of acidification process is use of lime water or use of citric acid as such is very important, is very helpful to maintain the acid-base equilibrium during heat stress condition. So farmer must consider about using citric acid or any food rich in citric acid like lime water into the poultry ration or into the poultry birds water. At the same time, probiotics are very important as far as gut immunity is concerned. During heat stress, there is a lot of disturbance in gut microflora is observed, and farmers must take into consideration about the balance between good bacteria and bad bacteria into the gut, and regular use of probiotics is very helpful to maintain the equilibrium, rather maintain the gut equilibrium during heat stress condition. As far as we know that steroidogenesis or increased corticosteroid release during heat stress causes immune suppression, we must consider about the supplementation of some immune modulators into the bird's ration during heat stress condition. We can use certain vitamins like vitamin E and selenium during heat stress condition, or we can use some phytomolecules or herbs like Tinospora cordifolia or giloi, or as you mentioned that amla or emlica officinalis. These herbs improve the immune status of the bird and thereby cope up with the immune suppressive condition during heat stress. As far as birds' immunity is concerned, we have found that most of the immune suppression occurs in respiratory system. Respiratory immunity of the birds are most vulnerable during heat stress condition. And if we consider about the immunomodulators for respiratory immunity, one of the important herb is using tulsi. Tulsi has been reported and it has been proven that it improves the respiratory immunity to a large extent. So regular use of tulsi in any form, extract form or oil form or crude herb form is very, very important during heat stress condition. It is not only a immunomodulator, tulsi is a very good adaptogen. Adaptogen means it increases the adaptability of the birds against heat stress condition. With tulsi, with vitamin C, with vitamin E, with selenium, another important micronutrient we must take into consideration is zinc. Zinc enhances the immune functioning in the body. So we must keep into vigilance that zinc level should not be reduced or there should not be any zinc deficiency, particularly during heat stress condition. Supplementation of zinc with other phytomolecules, particularly tulsi, amla, giloi and vitamin C, selenium will be of immense beneficial effect for the heat stress bird as far as their immune response is concerned. Another important molecule nowadays the poultry farmers are using regularly in their poultry feed is chromium. We have found that there are certain ill effects of corticosteroids are being counteracted by chromium. We have already discussed that when there is increased level of corticosteroid in the body, there is impaired energy metabolism because the insulin receptor sensitivity is reduced. It has been postulated that chromium enhances the insulin sensitivity of the insulin receptors through chromodulin. Chromodulin is a protein that binds insulin with the insulin receptors. It has been found that use of chromium enhances energy metabolism, optimizes energy metabolism, and the growth, performance and production is maintained at the optimum level. How much chromium to be used? It depends upon what type of chromium we are using. There are different types of chromium like inorganic chromium, chromium chloride, organic chromiums with yeast, then chromium with organic acid chelate, so many things. Different school of thoughts, they express their different views that this chromium is good, this chromium is good, this chromium is good. But as a thumb rule, we have found that chromium glycine chelate is a very good chromium as a supplement in poultry ration as far as its bioavailability is concerned. If we use chromium chloride, its bioavailability is very, very less. If we use chromium picolinate or chromium nicotinate, its bioavailability is high. Now, if we use yeast chromium or if we use chromium glycine chelate, their availability, their bioavailability is much, much higher. So, depending upon what type of chromium we are using, the dose of chromium is changed. Now, if we use highly bioavailable chromium, then 200 to 400 ppb of chromium must be there in the feed during hot and humid condition. This 200 to 400 ppb chromium can counteract the ill effect of corticosteroid during heat stress in commercial birds. So the poultry farmers must consider about using chromium more precisely bioavailable chromium in proper dose will be beneficial to counteract the heat stress condition. If we see that how much chromium is not harmful, this is very important because somebody used to say that chromium is a very harmful element, but we have seen that up to 1000 ppb or up to 2000 ppb of chromium, particularly organic chromium, is not toxic to the poultry anyway. Another important feed ingredient for poultry during heat stress is betaine. Now, betaine is used for various purposes in poultry industry. Mostly in poultry industry, betaine is used as a methyl donor to replace methionine or replace choline from the feed. That is a separate issue. When we talk about heat stress, here betaine is not used as a methyl donor. It is used as a osmolyte. What is osmolyte? Osmolyte are the group of compound or the molecule. They maintains the osmolytic balance in and outside the cell. It has been found that when the birds are supplemented with betaine, they can withhold certain ions as well as water inside the cell. Use of betaine is very, very important and very useful to combat the ionic and water imbalance in the cell. In that case, once again, we are mentioning that betaine is used as an osmolyte, not as a methyl donor. People used to use very less quantity of betaine, 100 gram of betaine, 200 gram of betaine, or less than that. Simply, it does not work. Betaine as an osmolyte against heat stress, if we have to use at least 750 gram to 1 kilo per ton of feed is essential, not 100 or 200 gram. 100 to 200 gram of betaine per ton of feed is of no usage as far as osmolytic effect of betaine is considered. So please keep it in mind. If you have to use betaine, use in a proper dose, 750 gram to 1 kilo per ton of feed. When there is very high heat stress, the central nervous system fails to cope up with the situation, their heat stroke occurs and death is quite common. In that condition, some people used to use some antipyretics like paracetamol, aspirin, although these are not a approved feed supplement, but sometimes people used to use and get some good result out of using paracetamol or aspirin in the feed for some days. We have found in phytochemical studies that Tinospora cordifolia or Giloy have quite similar type of action of in reduction of thermogenesis in central nervous system. Salicin is obtained from willow bark, from which actually salicylates are derivatized later on. So if we can use salicin alkaloid as phytochemical, it can reduce the level of thermogenesis in central nervous system and we can reduce the mortality due to heat stress. When we have told about electrolytes, particularly during humidity, electrolytes should be given looking into the proper ionic balance, not any types of sodium, potassium, bicarbonates, this and that, magnesium. We must follow the proper guideline of ionic balance. Giving excessive sodium during heat is not a very good practice. Normally, people used to use some more sodium bicarbonate as there is excel problem persists during hot and humid condition. So when people will use these electrolytes, they must take consideration about the ionic balance. What type of ion, at what milli-equivalent dose level it should be used. Electrolytes should be supplemented with glucose also. Now it is very interesting to know why glucose. We are giving enough amount of energy through feed. Still we are giving glucose with electrolyte. People used to think that it is a ready-made source of energy. No. How much glucose is going inside the cell through supplemental electrolytes? Very less quantity. Glucose is given as a co-transporter for monovalent and divalent cations. Sodium, potassium, calcium, particularly sodium. Sodium cannot enter inside the cell without the help of glucose. Glucose is used as a co-transporter, not as an energy donor. Sometimes people used to think that we are giving glucose, thus the bird's energy level will be increased. No, not like that. Not only glucose, anything, any food, any nutrient which can increase the sodium co-transport into the cell will be beneficial with electrolytes. Not only glucose, any glucose producing glucogenic substance we can use with electrolytes to improve anionic transport into the cell. As far as poultry farmers are concerned, they know what are the different managemental conditions they must follow to combat heat stress condition. One of the important is using housing pattern in east-west direction to reduce heat effect. Then painting the roof of the floor with white color, they also reduce the effect of heat. Ventilation should be proper, cooling system should be proper, foggers, sprinklers should be used regularly so that the ambient temperature can be maintained within the normal limit. So these are the managemental practices, and some farmers used to plant more and more trees around their poultry shed, which is very, very important, that can reduce the impact of heat into the poultry house. And as far as feeding is concerned, most of the people used to follow the feed withdrawal system. That is, the birds are given feed up to certain time, maybe up to 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, and then feed is withdrawn. And once again, the birds are given feed after the sunset, that is 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. As I have already said that during high heat stress, feed intake is reduced. At the same time, if you can go for feed withdrawal, so there is a chance of nutritional deficiencies. So farmers must use high density feed if they want to go for this feed withdrawal system. High protein, low energy. So all these things must be taken into consideration to combat heat stress in commercial poultry farming, whether it is a broiler production, or it's a layer production or breeder production. Similar managemental practices for watering should also be considered. The water tank should not be filled completely, and it should not be given throughout the day because water becomes hot. Poultry birds must be offered with cold water. So there should be continuous running watering system should be there, cold running water. So all these things should be kept into the mind, how the supplements can be manipulated, how the feeding can be manipulated, how the watering can be manipulated. They are very, very important to get maximum productivity. Another important thing I have forgotten to mention, that when we have talked about maximum productivity, it does not mean the maximum number of birds. Particularly during heat stress condition, stocking density should be reduced. Normally we used to give 1 square feet of area per bird, but during heat stress condition, 2 to 2.5 square feet area per bird is very good. Because more the number of birds, more heat will be produced and the heat stress condition will be aggravated. So stocking density must be keep in mind. It should be as less as possible to find more profitability. There is no fun in keeping more birds and getting more mortality. Keep optimum quantity of bird, get maximum profit. Thank you. Thank you very much.